Faith as power. Religion isn't just belief, it's control, community, and chaos all in one. Across the world, entire nations orbit around faith like planets around a sun. It decides who rules, who marries, who fights. From temples carved before electricity to megachurches packed with LED lights, belief is still the most stubborn currency on earth. The map of religion isn't random. It's written in bloodlines, wars, and trade routes. Every country's faith tells a survival story. Some built peace around it, others burned because of it. The next chapters dive into the nations where faith isn't just personal, it's public, political, and permanent. India, the land of a billion gods. India breathes religion. You feel it in the incense, the chants, the temples stacked on every corner. Over 80% of India's 1.4 billion people are Hindu, but Islam, Christianity, Sikhism, and Buddhism also thrive here. This spiritual chaos didn't appear overnight. It's thousands of years of empire, migration, and philosophy colliding. The Ganges River isn't just water, it's divine. Yet faith also divides. In 1947, partition ripped apart India and Pakistan, leaving millions dead or displaced in the name of belief. Today, religion shapes elections, masais, diets, the diets, and identities. To understand India is to accept that logic and faith coexist and often argue. Saudi Arabia, where religion is the law. Saudi Arabia doesn't separate mosque and state. They're the same. Islam's holiest cities, Mecca and Medina, draw millions yearly for the Hajj. The kingdom enforces Sharia law. Even the calendar is Islamic. But the modern world keeps pushing back. Oil wealth brought Western habits, smartphones, and pop concerts, things unthinkable 50 years ago. Still, religion remains untouchable. The 1979 Mecca siege forced the royal family to double down on conservatism, shaping 4 decades of strict social codes. Now, reforms under Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman test how far faith can bend before it breaks. Indonesia, the Muslim giant. Indonesia has more Muslims than any other country, over 230 million. But it's also wildly diverse, spread across 17,000 islands where mosques stand beside churches and temples. Islam arrived through traders, not conquerors, blending with local customs and mysticism. The result? A softer, communal version of faith until politics weaponized it. In 2016, protests over a Christian governor accused of blasphemy shook Jakarta, revealing the nation's fragile balance. Today, religion shapes schools, weddings, and elections, but most Indonesians still believe faith should unify, not divide. It's the world's largest experiment in religious coexistence. Nigeria, the Holy Divide. Nigeria is split by faith. Islam rules the north, Christianity dominates the south. Over 200 million people live in a daily tug-of-war between mosque and church. Colonial borders forced rival regions into one country, and decades later, that decision still burns. Boko Haram's insurgency, bombing villages in the name of purity, turned religion into a weapon of fear. Yet on Sundays and Fridays, streets still fill with believers praying for peace. Faith keeps Nigeria alive, and sometimes tears it apart. In this country, religion isn't private, it's survival. Pakistan, built on belief. Pakistan was born from religion. In 1947, it split from India as a homeland for Muslims, carved out by Muhammad Ali Jinnah's vision. That dream became a paradox. Secular laws wrapped in Islamic identity. Blasphemy laws today carry the death penalty. Accusations alone can spark riots. Madrasas educate millions, while reformers struggle to modernize without backlash. The Taliban's rise along its borders blurs where religion ends and politics begins. Yet for many Pakistanis, Islam isn't oppression. It's pride, community, and resistance against Western influence. The country stands as proof that belief can both build and bind a nation. The United States, God in the Constitution's shadow. America swears it separates church and state, but "In God We Trust" is printed on every dollar. From Puritans to televangelists, religion has always shaped its moral backbone. The 20th century saw Christian revival collide with civil rights, abortion debates, and same-sex marriage. Today, megachurches rival corporations, and politics bleeds into the pulpit. Evangelicals helped decide the 2016 election. Now, religious freedom laws fuel culture wars. For a supposedly secular republic, the U.S. is deeply spiritual and divided by what faith should mean. Brazil, saints, spirits, and stadiums. Brazil's religion is loud, carnival loud. Catholicism came with Portuguese colonizers, but African and indigenous roots turned it into something new. Candomblé and Umbanda mix saints with spirits, drumming through the night in Salvador's streets. Over time, evangelical churches exploded across favelas, offering hope and community where the state failed. Politicians use faith like currency. Even presidents quote the Bible at rallies. Religion here dances, heals, and hustles. Brazil proves belief can be both sacred and showtime. Egypt, the weight of ancient faith. In Egypt, faith feels older than time. The pyramids may have been tombs, but they were also religious statements, monuments to eternal life. Islam arrived in the 7th century and became the backbone of identity. Cairo's skyline is a sea of minarets, each calling to prayer. But religion also fuels resistance. The Muslim Brotherhood once promised moral reform, then faced brutal crackdowns. Christian Copts, nearly 10% of the population, survived centuries of pressure and persecution. Egypt's religion isn't just belief, it's memory carved in stone. Iran revolution in the name of God. In 1979, Iran overthrew its Shah and replaced him with clerics. It was the first modern theocracy, a nation literally ruled by religious law. Ayatollah Khomeini promised purity and independence, but decades later, young Iranians flood social media, hungry for freedom. Hijab protests, censorship, and arrests show a country torn between tradition and rebellion. Yet despite tension, faith remains Iran's political engine. Its religious courts, militias, and alliances all orbit the same idea, that God decides the future, and that belief still terrifies its enemies. The Philippines, crosses in the storm. In the Philippines, religion feels like oxygen. You can't escape it. Over 86% are Catholic, a legacy of 300 years of Spanish rule. From city festivals to soap operas, crosses hang everywhere. But faith also faces storms literally. After every typhoon, churches become shelters. Priests become rescue workers. In 1986, nuns stood against tanks during the People Power Revolution, toppling a dictator with rosaries in hand. Today, faith fuels both compassion and conflict, as politics and religion remain tangled. For Filipinos, belief isn't just comfort, it's identity. Ethiopia, Christianity. Before Europe. Ethiopia's Christianity is ancient. It predates most of Europe's. The Aksum Empire converted in the 4th century, and the Ethiopian Orthodox Church still guards relics said to be from Solomon's temple. Faith here is national pride. Monasteries cling to cliffs. Priests chant in Ge'ez, a language older than Latin. But modern Ethiopia is fractured. Muslims, Protestants, and traditional believers compete for influence as civil wars tear through regions. Still, religion remains the thread that keeps the country's story intact, a bridge between kingdoms and chaos. Israel, the promise and the pressure. Israel is built on belief, literally. It's the only Jewish majority nation. Born after centuries of exile and persecution, Jerusalem, sacred to 3 religions, sits at the center of every tension. Faith here defines land, politics, and life itself. Wars with Arab neighbors, Palestinian uprisings, and settlements all trace back to religion's weight. The ultra-Orthodox wield growing power, clashing with secular Israelis over identity and law. Every prayer at the Western Wall echoes centuries of survival and struggle. In Israel, religion isn't just faith, it's existence. Myanmar, monks and militias. Myanmar's Buddhism runs deep, temples glow gold, and saffron-robed monks are treated like saints. But under the surface lies conflict. For decades, Buddhist nationalism fueled violence against Muslim minorities, especially the Rohingya. Entire villages were burned in 2017, pushing over 700,000 refugees into Bangladesh. The same monks who preach peace sometimes preach exclusion. The military uses religion to justify control, twisting faith into propaganda. Myanmar shows how even the calmest belief can turn brutal when mixed with power. Vatican City, the world's smallest empire of faith. It's barely half a square kilometer, but the Vatican wields global influence. The Pope leads 1.3 billion Catholics from behind ancient walls. Built on the ruins of Rome's empire, it's both church and state. Diplomacy wrapped in ritual, scandals, secrets, and reform battles have shaken its marble halls for decades, yet millions still look to it for moral direction. The Vatican proves that spiritual authority can outlast empires, and that the smallest nation can shape the largest faith. The future of belief. Religion isn't dying, it's evolving. Even in tech-driven cities, people still search for meaning. Africa's population boom could make it the next heart of faith. Europe grows more secular each year. Wars, climate disasters, and inequality keep driving people toward belief or away from it. Whether through temples, TikToks, or AI prophets, faith keeps reinventing itself. In the end, religion remains the world's oldest story, and it's far from over.